Welcome to a brand new explainer. Today, we're unpacking one of the most fascinating, incredibly dense, and complex places on Earth, New York City. We're going way beyond those picture-perfect postcard views to look at the sheer scale, the striking contrasts, and the actual daily realities of living in the so-called capital of the world. Through our data-driven breakdown today, we're going to explore the towering numbers right alongside the gritty, street-level truths. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap. We'll start with its global status as the center of the world, navigate inside the concrete jungle, face the reality of living here, explore the 5 boroughs, and finally, look at the ultimate melting pot. Section 1, the center of the world. To truly understand New York, you really have to grasp its overwhelming scale. This isn't just a city. It's a massive geopolitical anchor holding 8.8 million people within the city limits alone, and a staggering 20 million if you count the surrounding metro area. Moving at a true New York minute, let's trace how it actually got here. It rapidly transformed from a small Dutch trading post called New Amsterdam in 1624 to English control 40 years later in 1664, which is when it was renamed New York. Then, following the Revolutionary War, it actually served as the capital of the United States for 5 years, starting in 1785, before eventually welcoming waves of immigrants under the newly erected Statue of Liberty in 1886. Now, all of that history laid the foundation for immense global power. By 1952, New York solidified its geopolitical influence by becoming the host of the United Nations headquarters. But hey, alongside that political power is unmatched wealth. Get a load of this. In 2021, the city was home to 99 billionaires. That is the highest concentration of extreme wealth in any single city in the entire world. Section 2, inside the concrete jungle. So, how do you physically structure a city holding so much wealth, power, and human density? Let's take a look at the physical design of the dream and the iconic spaces that define Manhattan's towering environment. Now, what's really interesting here is how a seemingly chaotic, compact island is actually bound by a super rigid logical rulebook. The Commissioner's Plan of 1811 imposed a brilliant rectangular grid right onto Manhattan. The rule is incredibly simple, but so effective. Avenues run north to south, and streets run east to west. It makes navigating this congested concrete maze remarkably predictable for anyone. But New York isn't literally all pavement and skyscrapers. You've got to contrast that concrete verticality with the city's massive, deliberate green spaces. Take Central Park. It sees 42 million visitors a year, and surprisingly, it's entirely man-made, right down to the artificial ponds. Then there's the High Line, a 1.4-mile greenway repurposed from an old elevated railway. And more recently, Little Island, which is the stunning 2.4-acre park literally suspended over the Hudson River on 132 pod-shaped structures. These are absolutely vital escape valves for the millions living in all that density. However, at the end of the day, the physical environment is ultimately driven by a financial engine, specifically down in Lower Manhattan. Wall Street is the financial center of the universe. The city's security industry alone accounts for over 163,000 jobs. And the compensation? It's staggering. The average salary in that sector is a breathtaking $422,000 a year. This right here is a major driver of the astronomical wealth that shapes the city's iconic skyline. Section 3, the reality of living here. Okay, it's time to shift gears from those glamorous high society statistics to the harsh, logistical realities of being an everyday New Yorker. Brace yourselves for some financial whiplash. Because contrasting those massive Wall Street salaries is the everyday cost of housing. The average rent in Manhattan is a staggering $4,200 a month. And no, that is not for a sprawling home. That's for an average space of just 700 square feet. It's an incredibly high barrier to entry just to have a roof over your head. And the financial hits just keep coming if you want to drive. See, the physical grid of the city might make walking a breeze, but it makes having a vehicle an absolute nightmare. Street parking is a game of pure luck, meaning most people have to rely on parking garages. Garage parking alone can cost $550 every single month, and that doesn't even account for the tolls just to enter and exit the island, which can run up to $16 one way. Because of these extreme costs and the aggressive traffic, we see a totally startling statistic. 55% of households in New York City do not own a car. While a car is pretty much a necessity in most of America, the economics and the sheer hassle here force the majority of people to abandon driving altogether. And this brilliantly illustrates the daily trade-off New Yorkers have to make. On the pro side, you have unparalleled conveniences, a subway system with 472 stations that uniquely runs 24/7, plus endless culture, nightlife, and career opportunities. But the cons are highly visible right there on the street level. Massive piles of garbage bags waiting on sidewalks because Manhattan lacks alleyways, ubiquitous construction scaffolding, and severe social issues, including an estimated 91,000 people experiencing homelessness as of early 2020.
And alongside those challenges are ongoing, really complex debates over public safety. New York has dealt with recent surges in certain crimes, which has ignited intense policy debate. On one side, the NYPD Detectives Union has publicly pointed to immediate release policies, arguing that they put violent suspects back onto the streets way too quickly. Conversely, broader debates continue around criminal justice reform and the root causes of these surges. We're just looking at the facts on the ground here, and it's super clear that navigating safety and policy remains a major, everyday reality of the city.
Section 4. Exploring the 5 boroughs. Let's step back from Manhattan for a second to highlight the massive populations of the surrounding boroughs that actually make up the bulk of the city. You know, when people think of New York, they immediately picture Manhattan. But in reality, Manhattan is vastly outsized by its neighbors. Brooklyn leads the pack with 2.5 million residents, followed closely by Queens at 2.3 million. The Bronx holds 1.5 million. Basically, most actual New Yorkers live well beyond the famous Manhattan skyline. And each of these boroughs operates almost like its own distinct city. Brooklyn has seen massive gentrification, transforming old warehouses into trendy tech startup hubs in places like Dumbo. Queens is known for its immense, sprawling diversity and crucial infrastructure, like the major airports. The Bronx boasts a rich cultural history as the undisputed birthplace of hip-hop and the home of the Yankees. Meanwhile, Staten Island offers a quieter, more remote suburban feel, which is why it's often referred to as the Forgotten Borough. Section 5. The ultimate melting pot. Let's focus in on the people and communities that truly generate the relentless, buzzing energy of New York. Because sure, the architecture is grand, but the demographics are what actually bring it to life. Here is a truly phenomenal number for you. There are over 3.22 million residents in New York City who were born outside of the United States. That is the largest foreign-born population of any city on the planet. This staggering level of immigration drives the city's incredible diversity, bringing literally hundreds of different spoken languages right to its streets. Let's see how this builds a completely unique social fabric. Immigrants here don't just blend in, they form tight-knit cultural enclaves, preserving their deep traditions within specific, vibrant neighborhoods. You have the Orthodox Jewish community in Borough Park, the massive Russian-speaking population in Brighton Beach, the incredible Chinese community and markets out in Flushing, and the rich, historic African-American heritage centered right in Harlem. You can honestly travel the entire globe just by crossing neighborhood lines. We'll wrap up our explainers today with a phrase you've undoubtedly heard before. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. New York is this intense concentration of extreme wealth, sky-high rents, beautiful parks, deep cultural roots, and totally chaotic streets. It demands a lot from anyone who chooses to live there. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought to consider. Is the relentless energy, the unmatched opportunity, and the sheer thrill of living in the center of the world truly worth the high cost of the daily grind? Well, that's a question only you can answer. Thank you so much for learning with us today.